required to perform. You can't be feminine in corporate. You need to bring out your more functional femininity. And I'm wanting to change the narrative. And I think that's going to be the word for this podcast. You know, you are not masculine. There's nothing wrong with you. You know, young girls and women need to know that there's nothing wrong with you. When someone says you're masculine, just then switch the wording and say, oh, this person or she's saying, I'm actually in my functional femininity.
Yes.
And maybe I need to soften a little bit, you know. And when you have that in your head, then you know that you don't have to fix anything. Because young women are walking around thinking they need to fix themselves. And that's why, you know, they'd buy tons of wigs, tons of all these other things. I'm not saying that wigs are bad, I wear wigs. But I'm just saying, like, you now want to buy your femininity, whereas it's not even about that. It starts internally.
Shoo. Buying femininity.
Hi girlies, welcome to the Pretty Serious Conversations with me, Bongiwe Dlamini, also known as Grace Girly. This is where we're going to talk all things femininity. So I am your doula. If you don't know what a doula is, it is literally someone that helps a woman through her pregnancy, right? Giving her all the information she needs, physical and emotional support as well for her big journey into giving birth. You might not be giving birth to a child, but you definitely might be giving birth to your either new self or your evolved self by listening to this podcast. Today, I have a very good friend of mine, love her to death. A lot of them know her. A lot of people know her as someone or an influencer, sometimes an NGO director. To me, she's a friend and a sister. I'm going to welcome Lerato Moloi, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself for about like a few minutes. You're going to give us your intro, and then we'll start the conversation of all things femininity and lifestyle.
Hi, Bongi. Thank you so much for having me. So, hi, everyone at home. My name is Lerato Moloi. I wasn't prepared to actually introduce myself.
I'm sorry,
so
I
just
didn't
to cut
say.
it short, I am a digital content creator. I am in the development space, so I do a lot of program management, program consulting within the local, regional, and international context. And I am very passionate about youth development and youth development initiatives, particularly with working with underserved communities in South Africa. So, yeah, I think I did well, right?
You did. And you mentioned all the important parts that show who you are and what you do, right?
Yes.
But I like focusing on what, or rather who you are in depth, because a lot of people talk about what they do and we sometimes define ourselves through that.
Yes.
And so this podcast is basically about that. It's about, you know, who are you being as a woman? And that's why we call it a femininity podcast, because I'm wanting to profile the different faces of women around us, and more so women who are becoming, because we're always becoming, we're always in practice, right? We practice our femininity.
Sure.
Today's topic, though, is going to be about functional femininity versus your embodiment femininity. So as we discussed, you know, someone who's more functional is a person who may be who says to themselves, I can do everything, you know, and the main word there is do. I think that's quite important. But when you speak about embodiment and a female who's embodied their femininity, that's someone who says, I am able to be supported. It's okay for me to be supported. And so there's that being where she's resting in herself and she's allowing people to give and she's receiving from those people, you know. So I want us to talk about that. And functional femininity, I think, is something that people know to be masculine energy, especially amongst the female community. People will hear that, oh, you're being masculine, you know?
Yeah.
And I've
been called masculine a few times, actually.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it doesn't sit well with you.
I mean, I really don't mind, because I've learned to embrace the duality of the masculine and feminine energy even within my life.
Yeah.
And when you speak about functional femininity, you are talking about a place, or rather an energy or an existence where you are supposed to be capable. You know, it's about your capabilities. It's about your qualifications. It's about your skills.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a space where you are required as a woman to be responsible and to be dependable. And, that might sound a little masculine, but it's actually not. It's also feminine.
Yes.
But when you then talk about the embodiment of it, it's where you actually feel. And so it's not about the doing. Like you say, it's about being. It's allowing others to carry you as much as you carry them. It's a safe space.
Yes.
And to be honest, a lot of women always operate from the functional femininity point of view, and that's why they might be seen as masculine, because they have to be doers, and you kind of carry that energy everywhere in your life. And you don't embrace the duality of sometimes I must be masculine, but it's not really masculine. It's just me performing my feminism and my femininity in a more structured context that requires me to take action. And I have to take action. I need to kind of draw into my masculine strength. And sometimes when you're so used to being within that context, you forget that, oh no, I need to be soft now. You know? And sometimes you might not even have the space to be soft. Sometimes you have to always be functional. Depending on what's happening in your life.
That's true. That's true.
But just going into that, I wouldn't feel like it's fair to have this conversation if we don't acknowledge that over the past few years, feminism has actually had bad PR, guys. Like really bad PR. And it's a shame, that feminism has bad PR, because it's framed as the hatred of men. It's framed as dominating men, and it's framed at basically abolishing men altogether. But feminism was never started because of that. Feminism was started because women wanted a seat at the table. They wanted equal rights. They wanted the right to an education, to own property, to move freely. So, it's not to overthrow men at all. In fact, it's just to say, please, can you consider us as people who participate in society? And can we do that freely without being policed because we are women? So I hate the whole bad PR around feminism and femininity, because some of my guy friends are like, Lerato, you one of those feminists. I'm like, it's not a bad thing. I think everyone should be a feminist. Everyone should advocate for the rights of women. You know what I mean?
It is more of a balance. And I think when I teach on my TikTok platform, I usually focus on the duality, and I focus more on the balance. And I usually call myself a homeo or harmonic practitioner, because we need a balance in everything. If all things are too in the masculine intelligence, things will become chaotic. You know what I mean?
And as we've seen in the world.
And then if things are too feminine as well, they become chaotic. So you do need a balance of the two worlds, or the two intelligences, to come together and to have a successful community. And what you're saying right now about, feminism getting a bad rep and having bad PR or marketing, I do think that what men hear and what they are wanting to see are different things, right? So I see this a lot, especially in corporate, for instance, where a woman is required to perform. Right? You're required to perform. You can't be feminine in corporate. You need to bring out your more functional femininity. And I'm wanting to change the narrative. And I think that's going to be the word for this podcast. You are not masculine. There's nothing wrong with you. Young girls and women need to know that there's nothing wrong with you. When someone says you're masculine, just then switch the wording and say, oh, this person or she's saying, I'm actually in my functional femininity. And maybe I need to soften a little bit, and when you have that in your head, then you know that you don't have to fix anything, because young women are walking around thinking they need to fix themselves, and that's why they buy tons of wigs, tons of all these other things. I'm not saying that wigs are bad, I wear wigs, but I'm just saying, like, you now want to buy your femininity, whereas it's not even about that. It starts internally.
Buying femininity, that's actually quite loaded, right? But I mean, oh my gosh, you've said so many amazing things. I don't know where to start. Okay, maybe let me start with you mentioning corporate. Corporate is one hell of a game. And if you look at it as that, you will succeed. And I think we were on a program, right?
Yes.
That taught us that don't play this with your heart. It's a long game. Use your mind and you know, be very strategic about it.
Yeah.
And once you think about it like that, your concept, or rather your perception of corporate, really changes, and how you treat yourself even within a corporate structure changes.
Yes.
You can be kind to yourself and climb the corporate ladder. You can be kind to others as well in the process.
Yeah.
You don't have to burn bridges. You don't have to throw your weight around. And I think a lot of people complain, oh, when women are in power, you know, women just throw their weight around and they're so mean and all of those things.
Yeah.
So corporate is like, I think, also a place where you really get to learn about yourself, because you are put in a competitive environment.
That's true.
And I think from earlier on, if you can master the concept of being competitive and being in competition and knowing the difference, it's very important. When you are competitive, you acknowledge, like you say, your femininity and your functional femininity, which means you acknowledge that I am in a competitive space that requires me to do.
Yes.
It requires me to apply, because when I interviewed for this job, I told them I work well under pressure, I work well in high-paced environments, right? So they want to see that. So treat it as that game where we want to see your skills, we want to see your qualifications. So treat it as, I'm going to put my best foot forward and I'm going to get the task done to the best of my ability and learn in the process. That is being competitive, right? Working towards being a better version of yourself and working towards this mission and this vision of this organization and carrying that forward. But being in competition means, oh, Ubonye got a promotion. How can I backstab her so that instead of them all the attention going on her and them seeing that she's capable, all the attention comes to me. Oh, Ubonye was late to work.
So, and even, it may not even be backstabbing, friend, because when you think about it, and I always say this to the people that I coach, sometimes you do what you do because you know what you know. You don't know beyond that, right? So, as you're saying about competition, I think in a world where we are in a functional femininity field, it's usually that mindset of saying there must be number one, because you're always having that not competitive, but more a scarcity type of mindset, because you are doing, right? And when you're doing it, so there's someone else that can do better than you.
So there's only one spot.
Exactly.
And that one spot is mine. And then not realizing that actually there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of spots, and whatever's meant for you will never miss you.
Will never miss you. This is where we get to embodiment, right? And I think we went straight into the topic.
We did.
And I wanted us to...
And I love this about us, because it sounds like the conversations we have over the phone and we're like, okay, we'll save it for the podcast.
You know what I mean? But I wanted to maybe start with the modeling part, right? A lot of us growing up, we have a certain life modeled in front of us, you know. I know you grew up with both your mom and your dad.
Yes,
I grew up with my grandfather and grandmother, you know, and they were modeling a certain life based on the partnership that they had. It was very traditional, something that we don't get as often in nowadays. You know, there's a lot of modernization and co-parenting.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that have changed, but there's certain principles that are found still stick, even in today's narrative, which that's what I want to share with the viewers, right? Anyone that watches this, to say, okay, so when we look at functional femininity and embodiment, I'm looking at how my grandmother modeled femininity. Because she was married to my grandfather, she had support. You know what I mean? So she knew she was not alone in the battle of life.
True.
And she had someone who she could call upon, you know, and they held each other in difficult times where one needed assistance. You know, she would then come in the feminine functional, and she would look after things. But when my grandfather was also strong and in his prime moments, you know, he would then look after her. So I saw that dynamic, and it helped me realize, oh, I can be a girly girl and I can still be a badass in corporate. You know, I can still be a boss girl in corporate. I just needed to learn where and when. And that switch for me was the toughest. But once I got it, I knew, okay, so now I'm in a relationship and I'm needing to let the guy do the things for me, you know, the small things that make him feel like a man. But when I'm in the office, I'm supposed to be there as, you know, quote and unquote, the man to a certain extent. I'm the one who's supposed to be initiating, you know, the email. I'm the one who's supposed to initiate the call. But when it comes to a relationship, I'm like, give him the space to do it. So I want you to go back to your upbringing, friend. I want you to give us a little bit of what was modeled for you and how that impacted your embodiment of femininity. As you said, you started off saying you've heard someone or a few people say you're masculine. But knowing this knowledge, you know, how did that make you feel, number one? And then number two, how are you now moving forward with knowing what you know?
I think it's always different depending on where I am in my life in terms of just somebody telling me, or maybe, I don't know, it's not a lot of people telling me. I think most of the time what I hear is, you know, you're so bossy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. More than you're masculine. It's a nice way to put it. But I don't know if it bothered me as much, but maybe when you think and actually reflect on what is this person trying to do by telling me that I'm masculine? Is it for them in a very harsh way to tell me to tone it down so that they can belittle me, like make me feel small because they feel like I'm big, I'm up here? Or is it for me to actually take account of how I am treating them or I'm treating the situation? So for me, that's also been very important. How we internalize things is very important, you know, because people can just throw around words. But you need to actually know yourself, and you need to know what happened for this person to call me masculine. And you'll see most of the time, if somebody calls you masculine, it's because they are not doing. You know, they are like, you need to be in a situation where you're doing. And now their lack of doing, or their reluctance to do, or rather the indecisiveness is being called out that you need to do. So you need to understand that. So you're calling me masculine because you need to do and you're not doing. And I'm clocking that, hey, you're not doing, you need to do. And I'm calling you out for it. Or I basically, you know, override you in worst case scenario, and because you're not doing, I end up doing. So I know sometimes that's not nice, but if things need to be done, they need to be done. And then you'll call me masculine because you're like, oh no, but I was going to do it. But why didn't you do it if you were going to do it, you know? So it's also that. But I know the masculine energy is also very committed to doing things their way. You know? And with their time. You know, and sometimes that's not a luxury as females have, because men are like, I'll do it. I'll do it when I do it. With women, it's like when something needs to be done, it needs to be done. We're kind of conditioned that we need to have that urgency with life, and we treat situations like this. But that's like that when it comes to me being called masculine. I always assess the situation and ask myself, why am I being called masculine in this particular situation? And is it because a person liked to do and I did? Or I'm pounding them and I'm like reminding them you need to do? That's it, you know. But with how I grew up, right? I grew up with both my parents in, you know, the same household from the day I was born till the day my dad passed on, which was like 3 years ago. And it was a very interesting dynamic, because it's definitely how you speak of it. That it's not always my mom is the lady of the house and everything gets done for her. My mom is a working woman. My mom is a professional nurse, so she had to work as much as my dad. And I mean, it's also very hard marrying a nurse, because you know, especially if they work in a hospital, because they work night shift sometimes. So I saw moments where my dad had to step in and be the caregiver and be the nurturer sometimes if my mom wasn't there. And you know, even with my dad, like I know when my dad passed on, he was like very sick. And I was so used to being a daddy's girl, and I was so used to my dad doing everything. But the roles had reversed, where now I had to be his nurturer. I had to be the one providing certain things for him because he didn't have the strength to do those things. So it's a very harsh reality to face with the masculine and the feminine coexisting. Because as women sometimes, and maybe modern day women, we ask ourselves, is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to support this man when he's down and out, when he needs me? Is he going to go the minute he gets his things sorted out?
Yeah.
Is it worth me staying here and supporting him when he's at his lowest? And that's been like, I think this is one of the fights of modern day women.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't mind being submissive.
Yes.
I don't mind being that girl. But what is it in for me? Like, how am I benefiting? And I think with every relationship dynamic, the biggest question to ask is who benefits? And how does that person benefit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So with my parents, I saw it benefiting. I saw them both benefiting. I literally saw in real time, like live, that till death do you us part is an actual thing.
It's an actual thing. Yeah.
But I know it's not like that for everyone.
Yeah.
And I know even to get to that till death do us part.
Yeah.
There's a lot of challenges because sometimes also I'm like,
Sure.
yo, girl, you guys really went through that. And you stayed. She's like, yeah, I stayed. And like, even with my dad, he had to experience certain things about my mom and, you know, her life and everything that came. Like, oh my gosh, and you really stayed. Like, yeah, I really stayed. So it has to be a mutual love.
Yes.
It has to be a mutual feeling. It has to be a mutual kind of thing that you do together. It can't be one-sided.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, though. I will tell you.
It's not easy. It's not easy. And when you mention the benefit, I think at the moment we're looking at a generation where we are more concerned about individual benefits, right? And it's all good and well. I mean, it took some time for me to actually realize that, oh, I need to be selfish. There's there's certain things where I just need to be selfish about. For instance, my time, because
and your money is
my money, my energy,
sometimes,
you know, But what I'm seeing right now is that there's an oversaturation of that message of, you know, being selfish, self-care, self-this, self-that. And that's fine. That's good. You need to have that. But I also have come to a place where I understand now that actually, what is the betterment of the unit? And when I speak about the unit, I'm talking about everyone involved, right? That could be your partner in that small unit. What is the what's the best option for that unit, you know? So that would benefit everyone, both you and them, right? What is the betterment of the unit in a larger perspective in the family? And this is how I think some of our parents and our grandparents and great-grandparents used to think, and they would stay longer even in relationships that did not work for them. But obviously we'll talk about that some other time in terms of the side effects of that, where now, you know, you grow up and your grandmother or your great-grandmother says, hey, do not stay, my child, do not stay. So now we're missing the balance of, okay, when do I stay, when don't I stay? What's worth staying for, what's not worth staying for? But that takes I think it takes a lot of knowledge and wisdom to know how to navigate that.
True.
But I just want to talk about the benefit of the unit, because the benefit of the unit is the benefit of your family, your immediate family, your community, and the broader nation. And I think we need that. Women are the ones who bring that more than the male side, right? Why I say that is because the feminine is relational. That's our powerhouse, one of the characteristics of the feminine. We bring relation, we bring communion, intimacy, you know. And so I believe that for us to move slightly forward, we need the women to come back and say, actually, in my embodied femininity, I'm not competing with Lerato.
Yes.
Lerato, we might be wearing the same weave. We bought it from the same person, the same lashes. We have the same French tips, you know, for crying out loud. We are the same carbon copy at that.
Same lipstick.
Same lipstick.
Same bag. Like,
You know?
of course,
Yes.
they sell these things at shops, by the way. They don't just make these things for you.
Yeah. So we might be like almost carbon copies of each other. But there's one thing that Lerato has that Bongi doesn't have. And that thing is her personality. That thing is her background. That thing is her traumas. You know, as much as we shy away from those things, but they make us into who we are. The way Lerato speaks, and that's your being, right? That's something I can't steal. I can try and
my
copy.
essence, like
Yes.
that's essentially
Yes.
like my essence.
Yes, and I can try and copy it, but I won't.
True.
I won't be Lerato.
Yeah.
You
like
know?
you can buy the same ingredients,
Yes.
but the
The
cake
cake
won't
won't come out.
taste the same.
Yes, it won't.
Yeah.
It won't.
Yeah.
And so it's that element where when we come together as women, then we start understanding that actually I'm not in competition with any of these women. I should be actually learning or allowing them to bring what they bring to the table or they bring to this community, you know, and we grow together from that.
Yes.
So now having spoken about that, the benefit of the unit, and as women, have you had situations or were you told or taught, whether tacitly as well, you know, like in invisible ways, that women are your allies, competition and functional femininity would focus on that, on the perspective of are they your allies or are they your enemies?
Oh, that's a very rich, you know, thing, because it depends on the context. It really does. I've had situations and even more situations where women were my allies more than they were my competition.
Yes.
And to be honest, most of the time when women were my competition, I didn't even know about it. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's somebody being in competition with me, but I am not competing with them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's a very tricky one. And then later you find out that you backstabbed me. Oh, and then and then it starts making sense. But you know, with also like the generational aspect that you talk about and who benefits, you know, a lot of like, I know this goes back to the point that I made previously, with the units and having the units, right? I saw with my parents is that they both came from homes that were broken and there was like separation. And so in their marriage, they decided that we will be here through the bad, the good, the ugly, whatever it is. And so even with myself, right, if you are raised in a marriage like that, that kind of forms your identity, like you're saying. You know, some of us come from broken homes, some of us come from good homes, and some certain values are instilled in us, and a certain upbringing. Like some of our parents worked really hard to give us a certain type of upbringing. And so, like, even with that context, like, you know, when you talk about women doing, like, wanting things to be one-sided, I know one of the things my mom taught me was, you know, one of the things you do for yourself as a woman is you have a Sheila purse.
Okay,
right?
yes.
A Sheila purse is like, this is the money for the house, and you know, because my parents like would jointly, like, together share responsibilities, you know, in whatever way. I don't know. You know, but my mom was like, make sure there's that 50 rand in the corner. somewhere. Right? And I think that's like, you know, when you're like reserving something for yourself and not just giving. And also I've learned, and even within my household and like the home that I was raised in, if and when my mom wasn't okay, everything wasn't okay. And hence the whole saying, happy wife, happy life. And so the feminine energy, like you say, is very relational. It also works with the intimacy. The mom gives the nurturing and the love and the kisses and the, you know, the very, very frequent I love you, you know what I mean? Dads will mention it, but like not as much as like aggressively like, I love you, like every single
But
day.
guys are changing now, right?
They're
adapting.
But either way, as women, we can be quite overbearing with showing our love and wearing our hearts on our sleeves.
Very much
So I'm just trying to cover all the questions. But I'm just going back to the whole thing of competition and how we are taught. My mom has always taught me to be strong and wise in every situation, right? But also from a very young age, I've learned to not be in competition with anyone because I don't know the lengths people have to go through to basically achieve the things that they need to achieve. And even like, you know, when you're younger, you're like, oh, but you know, my friend Palisa, her mom bought, you know, and my mom was like, you know, I am not Palisa's mom. You are not Palisa. You are Voiswa and Shwali Matla's child. And the very same way Palisa will have whatever she has, you will have the things that you have, you know? And so I think, I don't know, I with the competition thing, I can't relate. One of the things I will tell you though that were also passed down to me is, one of the things we don't realize is generational trauma and like how that's also important, and the kind of way you think and the way you do things and how those things are passed down to your children.
Yeah.
And for me, just by my parents deciding that through the good, the bad, and the ugly, be staying together, and how that is kind of transmitted to me as a child, and seeing like a somewhat stable home, that does something to my nervous system. That does something to the kind of human being I grew up to be. And that's basically my inheritance.
Yeah.
By them just breaking that generational curse and saying, you're not going to be in a situation that we were. You're not going to struggle like we did. You're going to go to better schools. We're going to do something out of you that is better than us. And if it means we must even stay in this marriage because we know what divorce is like, we're going to do that because that is going to create a certain human being out of you. And I don't think we realize how much of the generational trauma we inherit from the way our parents fight to how they speak also to their siblings. Sometimes competition isn't even in the streets, it's within your family structure.
Yes.
You know, if you've got aunts and you know how they fight with each other, and then you kind of inherit that. And I know I have a lot of these conversations with my friends that the older you grow, the more you become like your parents. And so the feminine in your life, the feminine energy, which most of the time is your mom, is, and as a woman, you know, it's a very strong energy, and it influences a lot on how you behave and your decision-making processes. And, you know, sometimes cycles and patterns repeat themselves because you inherit these things.
Yeah.
Until you are self-aware and you decide, this is not something that I want to do, and this is not a cycle that I want to continue to be in. It will happen for generations and generations.
It will. I mean, you speak about, obviously, maybe not relating to the topic, but I can definitely point out a few, you know, women, young ladies that go through that sort of mindset mapping, or that sort of, how do you put it? Like someone actively telling you that they are in competition with you. And it could be your mom, you know, who, you know, your dad left a long time ago and now she's single. You are now a nice, perky 20-year-old, you know what I mean? And now the men that would normally say hi to her are now saying hi to you as well. You know, things like that. And there's a
shift of like the new generation is here.
Yes. And there's a lot of people, I know it's unspoken and it's something that's very silent and hidden under the carpet, but it happens, especially, you know, when you hear people's stories where they share their stories that, yo, mina my mom, or yo, mina my aunt, oh, mina my bigger sister, my cousin. Yeah, understand that. And I think for me, it's important to let them know, like the ones who are in competition and the ones who feel like they are being put into the competition without their knowledge, you know, that you don't have to compete, especially if you're being yourself, you know, you don't have to compete. I think with embodied femininity, you will ultimately attract your reciprocal, the person who's suitable for you, who will like Larato with her blonde hair just as she is, you know. Yes. I don't know how you do it. Is it like this or like that? Yeah.
I know it's this and this.
Yes. Oh, yeah, you know. So there's someone out there that will just appreciate you just the way you are. And now you don't have to be bad-mouthing the other person, you know, for that. And we also see it on social media where friendships are broken, bad-mouthing the other person, you know, for that. And we also see it on social media where friendships are broken because this girl looked at the partner this way, or the partner looked at the girl this way, and the girl's like, but I'm not interested. But now there's a fight because, you know what I mean? And it's like, girl, but if honestly, like if you were being like in your true feminine, you wouldn't even mind, because you'd be like, I'm different. I am my own self. And hey, you know what? Abundance mindset. If this guy is looking at my friend like that, then maybe he's not the one.
Yeah. And
because
be okay
there's plenty more.
And be like, I don't want that situation.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it would be one of those things where you are in your authentic femininity. And that's what I always want to drill into, you know, everyone I speak to. It's like, that's your authentic femininity. But maybe to wrap up, I want to talk about something that is your own authentic femininity, which I learned from you. And I was like, girl, I'm taking that.
I wonder what that is.
I was like, I'm taking that.
Yeah, me. I'm a good influence to someone. Wow.
And maybe it's in the wrapping up of saying, as a woman, you're going to be a Frankenstein, because you'll see one woman there who's exuding this femininity trait that you might like. Take that good trait and say, you know what, I liked that. Actually, let me take it. Oh, she did her eyebrows like that. I like that, those eyebrows. And you do yours, you know what I mean? And find a way of suitably doing your own. But you've taken something, oh, I like how soft she speaks. Let me practice my soft voice and see. You know what I mean? So, friend, you're one, eh? We went out to a restaurant in Parkhurst at some time for brunch. Yeah, it was brunch.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I remember that.
Yes, yes, and we had so much fun.
Yeah.
And as we're having fun and we're deciding where we're going next and all of that, you take out your hand lotion, right? And you're like, hand lotion. And you said, would you like some, friend? I was like, no, I'm good, friend, I'm good. And then you just, okay. And then you went on to do this as well. And I was like, girl, I'm stealing that. I'm stealing. So I was like, okay, I know the concept of, rubbing your heads together.
But like your elbows.
But now
the self-care is on another level.
The ashy elbows need to also be treated, with love. So, friend, that's one thing I took from
you.
you.
Serious?
That is like, yes!
That's hilarious.
You don't understand the impact it has, and I can imagine a young girl looking at you do that. It just was, for me, it was so sensual. I was like, I like that. And you might find that there's other women that you look at who have other traits that are like that, which you just grab and hold on to, right? That's why I'm saying, as women, you would somewhat become a Frankenstein, because why? You're trying to find your authentic femininity. So you'll take tips here, tips there, and add them to your package, to make yourself authentic. But that's one thing I grabbed from you. To close off, I want you to tell me, what are you doing in this life phase that you are in, which is expressing all the feminine characteristics that you want to embody? What's that one ritual? Because there must be some, this one is something, there must be something that you can give the girlies out there to say, this is how I'm expressing my embodiment at this particular moment.
Wow. Sheesh, that's actually a lot. I think earlier on, I said there's a very loaded statement that you made about consumerism, even within femininity, and basically expressing your femininity through, capitalism and like consumerism. And I think right now, right, with all the things that I'm going to mention, they are very consumer and capitalist driven. Because, we've been taught that, no, a girl mustn't be ashy, also put some lotion on those elbows, not just the hands, because the hands are shiny, but you know what I mean? But like on a more serious note, I don't think we realize how far we've come in terms of like just feminism and like the consumerism that comes. And I'm not even perfect when it comes to this. So I will literally tell you, like, I will lotion my body like the gods depend on it. Like I will, literally my friends are like, Lerato, you've been lotioning for 5 minutes. I'm like, I have to get each and every single part. Like there's no good day for me. Every day's a good day. And I literally moisturize myself from head to toe. I even have a different lotion, like a foot cream for my feet because, it's good for callus and, when you wear heels and... But anyway, I think we need to be mindful about that because femininity isn't just the skincare routine like Instagram makes it seem. It's not just the lipstick. It's not the lashes, right? It's not the performative stuff that society always makes it about. Like 1 minute as women we're told to wear corsets and then the next we're told to wear bras because corsets are outdated. 1 minute as women we're told to wear skirts and dresses. The next day we can wear pants, So there's all these waves of femininity and feminism, and now it's become such a consumer thing that if you slap on a wig and a face beat, then I know, you are a woman or pedale. But there's so much more to that, like your essence, like you say, who you are, your character, how you speak to people. That's the energy that you want to carry. So you can focus on the external things that are always going to be changing, because 1 minute it's fighting the patriarchy and being feminine at your own right. The next is, oh, does it look Instagram cute or TikTok cute? Oh, and then you pout. No, you need to really know what femininity is about.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, externally, I will always love makeup. I always will do that. I love a good makeup routine. I love switching up my look. As you can tell, I cut my hair like last week, and I'll always switch it up. But internally, I think journaling is very important, because this is the point where if you look close enough, you'll be able to ask yourself, in this situation, in this instance, am I embodying my femininity, or am I being a functional femininity? Is there a balance? So it keeps you accountable to yourself. It helps you keep stock. So journaling is very important. Being mindful, when I realize that I am stressing a lot and I am not being mindful of my environment, or I'm shouting a lot and I'm being too aggressive because I'm stressed out, I need to allow myself to just go a step back and ask myself, am I being very authentic to who I want to be and who I am? Those are the things you can do. You don't have to act aggressively. You don't have to speak aggressively. And I'm also learning to be assertive without being mean. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, you didn't have to say it like that. I'm sorry, I just had to say it. So it's like things that I'm trying to learn about how I am as a female to actually say, for me to be assertive, I don't have to be so hard. I can be assertive in a softer way, and maybe it might land. So I also struggle with my femininity. I also struggle with having a balance, because sometimes in your life, like right now in my life, it's calling for me to be more functional than it is calling me to embody. And I have to always remind myself, embody. Don't just function.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I like how you've just positioned it for us. Like, you are in a certain phase and you're doing more of this one rather than that one.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean you don't add a little bit of spice to your life, I love it when you say you lotion to the gods.
Yes.
You're moisturized, babe.
The cracks, the behind the ears, the feet, in between the feet.
You are moisturized to the gods. And I think that's a beautiful tip. And it's a very essential one, by the way, because with you taking your time to lotion your body, you're actually giving yourself some love and saying, I see you. Yes. I see you. I see my beautiful toes, as tiny as they are, and I'm recognizing them, I'm appreciating them and acknowledging that they have a function. I love them. It's that presence and the experience of going through it that makes the feminine journey incredible. I love being a woman. I'll always say that. It's the best thing ever.
It's so goated. It's amazing.
Right?
And a black woman at that too.
It's
so goated.
It's incredible. And I just want to assure every woman out there that, you know what? Your feminine journey, it will always be a continuous one. You'll never reach the pinnacle of femininity.
Ever evolving.
Yes.
Yeah, and always evolving.
Yeah. And you hear these terms on social media where people are like, ultra feminine. You'll never be ultra feminine. You'll always be fluctuating based on the stresses you have in life, based on the experiences. You might be a new mother. Yes. You might be a fresh girl out of high school into varsity.
Or just newlywed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or fresh into an executive post and now you're a board member.
Yes.
That requires you to be a bit more assertive and functional.
Yes. Yeah. But the art and the science in it is that you know when to be functional and when to embody, which I think that's what we are talking about in this podcast. And we're going to have another episode where we chat about these topics. I just want you to maybe give us your wrapping thoughts, and then maybe also just share your social media platforms for the followers, and also give us a little smile telling us, and why I'm specific about that is because before we close, we're going to drop into our hearts because I want us to live here in our bodies and not in our minds. And so we're going to also invite the guests into that atmosphere so that they can leave knowing that they are perfect just the way they are.
Yes.
It's a practice. And you learn here and there, slowly and surely. And then, yeah, we'll wrap up.
Okay. My closing words is just always love yourself and be kind to yourself. I think that's the biggest one. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. Because I think those are the biggest revolutions ever. It always starts with you.
Yes.
And once you can master kindness to yourself and self-love, everything will kind of fall into place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your social media?
Oh, yes. My social media. I'm mostly active on Instagram, actually. So you can catch me on Instagram at its_Lerato_Moloi. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was amazing.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'd like to say thank you to all the girlies that took the time to watch this podcast. We will be discussing more, femininity topics that delve into the being rather than the doing. And I want to tell everyone that, who's a woman specifically, that this is a practice. It will take time, but you can do it, and be soft with yourself, as Lerato said. Give yourself some grace.
Yes.
And that's why I call myself Grace Girly, because I've had so much grace from God. And today I sit where I sit and I'm sharing the knowledge and wisdom that I have. If you wanting to engage, please do leave a comment and subscribe on the channel. But more so, we have a book club where we share all books that are femininity related. I curate those books because I've read 100,000 books. And I can tell you which ones will actually do the work. Because some of them you're just going to be wasting your money. So if you're wanting to join the book club, you can email me at knowbetterdobetter01@gmail.com, and then we'll give you the next steps of how to join. We will be reading one book each month, and we'll have a monthly get-together where we discuss the learnings, which is going to be a very girly event. We might even have some young Pilates and, some nice stuff to do and discuss what we are learning.
I would love to be there.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you want to join, please do email us and then we'll give you the next steps. And besides that, I am Grace Girly and I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining. Peace be with you and ciao, ciao.
Bye.